Hi guys, I'm here today with a book review for you. It's The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbaugh. So it's been a while since I've done a book review on a Monday for you. At the beginning of the year I was sort of reading a book a week, but I had a bit of a reading slump, and there's a couple of reasons for that which I will get into in a minute. Let me first read you the blurb or the synopsis on the back of the book. So it says, the Victorian language of flowers was used to express emotions: honeysuckle for devotion, azaleas for passion, and red roses for love. But for Victoria Jones, it has been more useful in communicating feelings like grief, mistrust, and solitude. After a childhood spent in the foster care system, her only connection to the world is through flowers and their meanings. Now 18, Victoria has nowhere to go and sleeps in a public park, where she plants a small garden of her own. When her talent is spotted by a local florist, she discovers her gift for helping others through the flowers she chooses for them. But it takes meeting a mysterious vendor at the flower market for her to realise what's been missing in her own life, and she starts to fall for him. She's forced to comfort a painful secret from her past and decide whether it's worth risking everything for a second chance at happiness. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Yes, as the synopsis says, basically Victoria is a girl who in her childhood lived with various foster parents, foster homes, and then in state homes, and yes, at the age of 18 she finds herself homeless. FYI, I shall probably do some spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, please maybe stop watching. Yes, so she so at the age of 18 she finds herself homeless, which actually is a fault of her own because she was a little bit naughty. Anyway, she finds herself homeless, and throughout her childhood. In her childhood, she was first introduced to the language of flowers and using flowers for conveying messages by a foster mother, and that's kind of stayed with her all her life, and so she's really into flowers, and but not just flowers, but the meaning behind the flowers, and so she realises that she needs a job. So she doesn't really know what else she can do other than flowers. Excuse me. So she goes to a florist and tries to seek a job there, and the florist ends up giving her a job. And then through that job she meets a flower vendor who she ends up having a relationship with. And as the story goes on, she branches out and starts her own business, her own floristry business, and she builds up a reputation. She calls her business Message because she builds up a reputation for, and she only works with the meaning of flowers and the message that they convey. She's not at all interested in the way the flowers look or their colour, but only the message they convey. So like for brides, you know, if you've got a colour scheme for your wedding, she's not concerned about that. She's not concerned whether you want pink flowers or red flowers. All she's concerned about is the message you want to convey. So for any bouquets or events or anything, she basically interviews the clients and asks what message they'd like to convey, or what what qualities they would want in their marriage, and then she builds a bouquet around that, so it's all about the message. And I found that absolutely fascinating. I found it really interesting. There were a few there was one element really in the book that I couldn't identify with, and that kind of caused me to have a bit of a reading slump. So basically this chap, she ends up having a relationship with him, and she does end up falling pregnant by mistake, and she ends up being an 18 or 19-year-old single mother, and having not had sort of a family of her own, she kind of really struggles with the concept of motherhood, and she does end up abandoning her baby a couple of times, and that point in the book, A, I couldn't identify with it really, and B, it was a bit of a slump, a bit of a slouchy bit in the book. So, and the weather here has been so nice that I haven't been, I've been out and about and haven't been reading quite so much. But then I kind of picked it up again and finished it, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the book. Really have enjoyed it. It's been very inspirational for me. I found that I've been journaling, creating more artwork that have been inspired by this book, sort of incorporating flowers and their messages into my artwork, because I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I really enjoyed the following her and seeing how she grows as a person and overcomes obstacles, such as the motherhood. And the thing is, I mean, I've never been a child in care, and I don't know anyone who's been a child in care, so I kind of found that a little bit hard to identify with, but I can actually see how that would have an impact on your life. So it's kind of interesting to see that and how she incorporated that and how she dealt with that, but with the whole flowers theme running alongside it and keeping her sane. So I really did enjoy that. I'm just trying to think of what else to say. And she does need to seek forgiveness because she wasn't exactly a squeaky clean child. So there's a couple of times that she needs to seek forgiveness. It does have it does dot the I's and cross the T's at the end. It does all tie everything up, which I like in a book, I have to admit. I don't like being left dangling. So yeah, and it was just, after my initial sadness of, her sort of abandoning her baby, everything does all resolve itself, and so I was left with a fulfilling feeling, and it was just a really enjoyable book, really pleasant read, really enjoyable. Really enjoyed the ending. I'm glad that kind of everything worked out, and yes, okay, it was a little bit all like happy, but I liked that. I don't always want to read sad stuff. The chapters, at the start of the book, you've got one chapter of Victoria in the here and now, and then the next chapter you've got Victoria as a child. And for me, that was both good and bad. On the one hand, I was like reading it and I was like, oh, but what happens next? But on the other hand, it was really good to kind of get the background of where she has come from and what she's been and how that's, caused her to be the person that she is. But I really did enjoy the book. Really did enjoy the book, and I would recommend it. It was a really interesting read. As I say, I really did enjoy the whole concept and the idea behind the meaning of the flowers. I found that really interesting. But yeah, so there we go. That's my review of The Language of Flowers.